Hi guys, so we are back for the third instalment of the podcast mini-series on the Bikes and Laces channel. Now, this week I'm sharing the chat that I had with Gemma Wilks, who runs the Wheel Women podcast over on YouTube. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and can you summarise your podcast a little bit?
Sure. So my name's Gemma Wilks. I live in the New Forest. I'm mother of 2 children and got a husband as well. And I got into cycling about 8 years ago, post having my second child. My husband, I'd ridden a bit before then, but my husband suggested I he had a road bike. He's like, why don't you come out and give it a try? And I was like, oh my God, that's, a bit scary because they're like, riding a little thoroughbred compared to the big heavy mountain bike that I'd had. And but yeah, I gave it a go, and he's like, can you lean over more and give it a bit more effort and things like that. And I was like, I can't, because I was still feeding, so my boobs were huge and things like that. And I was definitely a very much starting out cyclist. I was carrying a lot of post-pregnancy weight, which was making life harder. My joints were hurting, etc. So I think he was aware, and I was aware, that definitely something had to be done to help me get back to where I wanted to be. It was only a few months after giving birth, but it's quite a hard time, when you've just given birth, your body's not quite your own, etc. And so yeah, we gave it a go, and I really enjoyed it. I really, really enjoyed it. Being on something that kind of moved better on the road, was faster, I could go further, it felt more exhilarating, etc. I didn't feel quite such hard work as my mountain bike. Was really, really exciting and fun. And then it just sort of snowballed, really, to be honest. From there, I started doing some time trials with our club Satonia, which were great. Started seeing the cycling world. I got into cyclocross eventually, did my first race. It was awful, it was so hard, but I came back and did more, which was obviously really, really good fun. And just things kept going and going and going from there. And then the podcast side of things, it's relatively new. Obviously I've got 3 episodes, but I love inspiring other people to give something maybe that's outside their comfort zone. Give it a try, because you never know if you're going to enjoy it. But if you don't try it, how are you ever going to know? And I try and verbally tell people that, obviously, give cycling a try. Come on, come out for a ride with me. And they're like, but I'll be so slow. And I was like, I don't care. It's about you feeling good and enjoying it. I'm not there to smash you. I just want company, and let's go for a ride. And but I wanted to make a documentary about women in cycling and sort of capture my journey, but also, bring in other people's stories to try and inspire other people to give it a go. And, if one woman somewhere went, maybe I'll get my bike out of the garage and give it a try, that would have just been amazing. And then COVID struck, and races got cancelled. I wanted to head overseas and do some racing, and couldn't do that, obviously. And I'd done all these great interviews with these amazing women, and they were just sitting on a hard drive, and that was so frustrating. I was like, how do I get these stories out there? And some of them were huge. I mean, there was so much more content than I could ever use in a documentary anyway. And my husband said, why don't you make a podcast with them? Talk to the people who you've interviewed and say, would you mind if I make a podcast? And I hadn't thought of it at all, to be honest. It just wasn't something that had crossed my mind. I sort of assumed that podcasts were about the people at the top of their game, so the top scientists did a podcast, or the top musicians, or the top athletes. I hadn't really thought they'd want to listen to silly old me chattering away with somebody. And he said, well, give it a try and see what the reaction is. And the reaction's been really, really positive, which is amazing. I keep waiting for that negative comment on YouTube, because I have it on YouTube as well with a video version, and all the podcasts, I keep waiting for the why would we want to listen to this, or silly women or something, and there's just been nothing like that, which is great. But I think that's just my inner anxiety sort of kicking in, waiting for it. So yeah, it's just sort of it's taken off pretty well. my stats. So it comes out roughly every 2 weeks, and I give it a lot of push on social media, and my graphs go up, which is brilliant. But I'd like to try and see it stabilising a little bit, which I think is more word of mouth. I need people telling each other a little bit about it more, so that people listen to, episode 3 at the weekend, and then they tell somebody who listens to it on Tuesday and Thursday and things like that.
System kind of viewing.
Yeah, exactly. So I haven't quite achieved that yet, but I've got loads of interviews lined up or already recorded, which is really exciting. A huge range of people around the world. Even plan to interview some men, which will be fun to sort of see their side of things, because there are some great male role models out there for women, who are shouting about equality or helping get their partners, wives, daughters, whatever, to the start line. So it's not like, I know it's called Wheel Women, but I want men to listen to it too. I don't want them to be put off and just think, oh, it's just for women, because there are some amazing men out there as well.
And it'll be a nice way to kind of like share the experiences and like things that people can learn from it. I know that I've learned some bits from some of them that I've listened to, which has been really, really good. So have you got a favourite episode, and have you got any kind of like future goals coming up for the podcast? Anything that you want to achieve?
Favourite episode? I mean, they're all so different, and that's what I'm trying to get. Really, really different. I didn't want to just do a podcast just about the pros. There's some great podcasts out there about, racing and what the pros are up to and the races happening around the world, and that's brilliant. I didn't want to go into that world too much, but I do speak to some pros. And then I've got these grassroots people who are literally just giving it a go and making their own personal goals and achieving their own things. And I've got some great ones lined up with some really specific personal goals that they want to get out of it. And what's the favourite? I mean, I've got one coming up, and we were looking back through some old photos, my husband and I, a few months ago, and one of them, or weeks ago, I don't know, it's all merging, weeks probably, and one of them, I'm there on the start line, or near the start line, near the front, I'm getting gridded basically. Or I wasn't gridded, I was miles back. But getting ready to be gridded for my first cyclocross race, which was awful, was such hard work. But once the pain had worn off and the exhaustion, I realised how amazing it was, and I came back for more. But I'm there in this photo with this woman next to me, and we're having a chat, and I would imagine I'm saying, this is my first run, I'm really nervous, I don't really know what I'm doing, I'm just hoping to finish. And she, I can imagine, was saying something like, you can do it, you'll be great, it's such fun, etc. Looking at our faces. And that woman is one of my interviewees coming up. So I've interviewed her, and it's a long one because we had a lot to talk about because she's amazing. And so that was, say, 6 years ago. And, our families are friends now, and our kids cycle together. And that episode just really encompasses, I think, what the cycling community and the racing world, particularly cyclocross, is so family friendly. Everybody is there as a team. I could say to her, can you watch my kid? You keep half an eye on my kids, and her kids help out in the pits, and there's just such a camaraderie. And so that's a really nice episode, because that's kind of represents my world a little bit, I guess, and what she's done, some of the things she's done are on my radar to be things that I want to do, which is quite cool. But they're all great. I mean, the first one with Louise, that was recorded just before Christmas, on the last day of term, I think, and she was like, we've got to do this before my kids break up or it'll be manic, or we can wait till they go back in January. And then, of course, they never went back in January, which was a nightmare. So that was really, and her energy, I'd never met her before. And that's the great thing about most of these are people I've never met before, so you never quite know what you're going to get. And that's what's so exciting. Are they going to be people who are really chatty, or am I going to have to really, pull some answers out of them? But everybody is so passionate about cycling, and so that interview was really, really fun to sort of kick off the podcast. And I've learnt so much from each one. I mean, then Lindy, we were outside at an event, which was just so exciting to actually be at a real live event. And she's, you know, lovely and bubbly. And then talking to Amy, who was over in the US, and sort of seeing a very different world that she lives within and cycles within. So yeah, they're all just so different. And that's what I want. I want them to all be so different so that people might go, you know, that one doesn't appeal to me so much because she's a pro or she's grassroots and I'm more interested in the pros or whatever. But hopefully there'll be a spattering across once I get more out, that they'll go, well, I'll listen to that one and that one and that one. Oh, maybe my friend would enjoy that one and I'll share that one to her. So I really want that sort of range of options. But where do I want to go?
Something for everyone, really, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. That's my long-term goal, is just that there'll be an episode that everybody will find interesting in some way. And now I need to just figure out how I get it to them, because I say first podcast, I've got my little dashboard that I look at viewing figures on, but I don't really know what I'm doing. They're on Spotify, they're on Google Podcasts, they're on Google, Spotify. Oh, there's another one. I've got it on YouTube as a video version, because I think that's just quite fun to see somebody, you know, see their passion, see their enthusiasm coming through in their face. It is also quite exciting. What is my third? Google and Apple. Yeah, Apple Podcasts as well.
Okay,
yeah, so it's on there.
perfect.
So there's lots of platforms. It's on Facebook. I've got a page at Wheel Women Pod, which I put all the, you know, the links are on there. It's on Twitter and Instagram as well, and I feed the links in, but Facebook's definitely sort of where I'm most active. I find that platform easier to use. But generally, yeah, it's out there, and it's just, goals for it are just, to make sure there's something there for everybody, and inspire women to try any sport, to be honest. I mean, this one's focused on cycling, but just giving any sport a try, I think, is so important for our mental well-being and our physical
give it a
well-being.
go, kind of personality. It's a really good one to kind of follow, to just go and try something and do something. And having podcasts, especially like yours, kind of listening to the experiences and stories is great, because it does inspire you to go, you know what, I might go grab my bike and I might just give that a go and I might just try it. So I'm very excited to listen to some more episodes. I've really enjoyed the ones that have come up. I mean, kind of in some of your answers, you've pretty much covered all the questions, and it's been great really listening and just finding out a bit more about the podcast and where it started and where it came from. So yeah, I think we'll keep this a short episode, but I do encourage people to go and check out the Wheel Women podcast and go and say hello to you and drop some really lovely comments. And I look forward to future episodes. So thanks.
That would be great. Yeah, I think it's people come, give it a listen. You know, try not to be intimidated. I really was I am a true grassroots cyclist who started from nothing in her 30s. Or just before I was 30, I started cycling, and last year I did the National Cyclocross Championships, 8 years later. And if you'd said to me 8 years ago, you're going to do this, I'd have been like, nah, don't be ridiculous, that's crazy. But it was amazing. I was in a start grid with Anna Kay next to me, like, that's just cool, and didn't get lapped. And that to me just shows what, with a bit of tenacity, I haven't been training like day after day after day by any stretch, but with a bit of, I want to give this a try. There are literally so many things that people can do and women can do, and I just want to spread that excitement so that people go, no, I'm going to give this a try. Why not?
Perfect. And yeah, you do, and you feel the enthusiasm, and it's brilliant. So highly recommended from the team over here at Bikes and Laces, so do go and check it out. And yeah, go and say hello on all the various social media platforms. I'll put all the links in the description below the video so people can come and find you and say hello. And I just want to say thank you for taking the time to come and chat to me and, teach me a little bit more about your podcast. So it's been brilliant. And you can also find it on various other podcast platforms. So do go and check out the podcast. Make sure you check out this video and do let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Okay, so thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed that video. It was great talking to Gemma, and I have a huge amount of appreciation for her and everyone else I've spoken to as well. Now, next week is going to be our last episode, so do keep your eyes peeled for that one. I am really excited to release that episode. And if you enjoyed it, then drop a comment down below, let us know your thoughts. Make sure you hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with all the new videos coming out, and make sure to give this video a thumbs up, as it really helps us share it with other people who would like to see similar content.